Out here at WIDR with Bella Hamid, answering all the questions that you'll ever need.
That was great. Thank you. Hello, and thank you for tuning in to WIDR 89.1 for episode 12 of Behind the Scenes. I'm your host, Bella Hamid, and this episode's guest is Julian Bugbee.
Yay.
Yay.
Hold on, let me set this guitar down somewhere.
Yeah, It's the guitar.
Yeah.
Studio guitar.
Love it. All right.
All right, cool.
It's good enough. Hold on, let me get this mic towards my face. All right.
You're here.
I'm here. You're
I
here.
talk about you
Yep.
on this occasionally, but you're really here now.
It's a very cold February day.
It's really
not
cold.
loving it.
I'm not either. Anyway, hi, Julian.
Hi, Bella.
Hi. Where can people find you at?
They can find me on any main streaming service, Spotify, Apple Music, SoundCloud, Tidal, just about everything. I have 2 songs out currently and some more on the way.
Yeah.
Yeah, so.
Super cool.
Yeah.
And you're a comp major.
Yep, yeah.
Yep.
I'm in the composition program here at Western with like basically 10 other people. Mm-hmm. I'm like probably the only songwriter in the entire program, which makes me a bit of an odd duck, but it's nice to be surrounded by people who are doing all sorts of things, you know, that force you to think about what music is and how it works and how sound can work differently. It puts you in maybe a more unique creative situation than I think a lot of songwriters typically get put in. Mm-hmm. So it's really an experience that's helped influence me in a hopefully positive way. But, you know, there are some people that think that music that is 5 minutes of shaped noise is not exactly a positive thing. But I think it's, you know.
All good?
Yeah.
Yeah. So are like the other people in the comp major, they want to be like orchestral composers?
It's maybe just Eric, but there are other people, some who do media stuff, like media composition for video games and movies and TV shows. There are quite a few academic composers who are kind of more involved in the niche intellectual side of composition that kind of primarily exists within the bubble of like college professors around the world, and it is mainly oriented towards trying to push what composition is as far as it can go. Mm-hmm. So it's pretty out there compared to what most people think of as classical music. For sure. And it sounds very little like what I usually end up writing, but I you know, it's good to get exposed to that sort of stuff.
Yeah, for sure. And so you study music or comp here and you live in a music hype house.
You know, apparently I talked to someone who I'm I guess I would say acquaintances or friends with yesterday. And he informed me that he actually lives in the original music hype house. So we have competition.
Oh, so there's new hype house on the block.
We're the new hype house.
You're the
allegedly.
New hype house.
Apparently, they've been the original one since they've had the title of the music hype house since like March. Like last March or something.
Wow.
So yeah, that's a little bit of lore for you. There's two different hype houses. Yeah, and they're like all jazz guys. So
that's scary.
yeah, it's a contrast to the pop of me and Jonah and the classical of my other roommates. So
Yeah.
yeah.
I mean, if like you held a gun to my head and you're like, do you want to be in a house full of jazzers or a house full of classical musicians? And then like you and
You'd
Jonah,
live on the street.
I'd live on the street. Yeah.
Yeah, no,
Probably.
understandable.
Anyway, let's talk about like your music and stuff like that. So you write all your own music, right?
Yeah, so I can just give a little autobiography because it's an interesting path that I kind of got on to the music that I make now. So originally I was just a band kid. I played like bass clarinet, and saxophone. Mm-hmm. And then a friend of mine asked me if I wanted to start a band with him because he had gotten a bass. And I had a guitar sitting in my living room that I had not picked up since I was probably 9 or 10. And I just decided to relearn it. So I just started looking up tabs to Queens of the Stone Age songs.
Nice.
And like Snarky Puppy songs. And we ended up jamming together and trying to form bands, but nothing really ever stuck. And for most of high school, I was really more focused on being like a multi-instrumentalist. Like I was really obsessed with like Prince, Sufjan Stevens, like guys like that played all the instruments on their albums. And I was like more obsessed with learning all the instruments that I possibly could and being good at them than I was with actually making music. And I don't think I really had a plan for what I was going to do with that. I was just going to be able to know how to play a lot of different instruments.
Yeah.
So I started playing guitar, and then soon after I picked up drums and keyboard, and I started messing around with singing all the while I was still playing bass clarinet, and trombone I added playing in marching band around that point. And slowly, well, you know, I think I really took an interest in writing music when I was about in 10th grade, and I made a friend with a rapper at my school named Chase, who at that point, I don't remember the lineage of it, but he's gone through many name changes. But I think he was putting out music under the name Chase lowercase, but we came together and we would work in his basement on music together in like 10th grade, and I'd just bike over to his house after school. And we put out a song in like May of my sophomore year in high school called Knopf Theater. And that song kind of unexpectedly took off. It got like 10,000 streams in one day.
That's wild.
Yeah, and we weren't sure why, but I guess it was like the first point at which I realized that like I could actually have a career in music, and it was like actually a thing. Because I ended up writing some portion of the song and playing keyboards on it. And things got a little bit more serious, and he decided to put an album together. And that was kind of where I first started collaborating and wanting to be a collaborator, was with him, where I would play guitar and like kind of add little things into his music. So I played guitar on a song called Platinum Blonde, and I wrote the title track on the album, Suburban Apocalypse. And that came out and it did really well, and we got messages from a bunch of people. It came out like my senior year. And by that point, I think I had started to take songwriting a little more seriously. Mm-hmm. And I was hanging out with a lot of people. One of those people at the time was a singer at my school named Chloe Moriando, who just had started, I believe, uploading covers of songs while playing her ukulele on YouTube. And I noticed it and I liked it. So we hung out once or twice and we talked a bit. And the first song I ever wrote was intended for her to sing. And I never finished it. At least not for a long time, not until college. And by the time I had finished that song, this singer named Chloe Moriando was, I believe, embarking on a European tour. So kind of missed the boat on that one. But in the meantime, yeah, I was writing other songs, just trying to take songwriting more seriously. And as I went into my senior year in high school, I decided that I wanted to join a composition program in school. So I had to submit audition pieces to get into the WMU School of Composition, and I had never finished anything. So I had to come up with 3 whole pieces, you know, just from scratch to be able to submit. And so I threw together in like 2 months 3 whole pieces that were all like, I guess, classical music. And I believe, I think I really started to take songwriting seriously around the time COVID started. And I had a lot of time on my own. And I was also in a point in my life where I was actually inspired to start writing songs. A situation we call the makings of a breakup, you know, which usually inspires lots of songs. That kind of caused the first real breaking of the dam for me for songwriting, and I wrote a lot. And I think around that time I had just started to realize that being a songwriter was what I wanted to do. And so, yeah, I spent the first year here at Western only writing like classical music. Like I was really hell-bent on writing string quartets really well. Don't know why, but that was just a format that really fascinated me. So I focused a lot of energy on that and like being able to write counterpoint. And then I got FL Studio at the end of my freshman year, and I was like, well, I can produce myself now. So I just got in and I recorded my first song on my own. And it was basically the first thing where beginning to end, I did everything myself. I played everything on it, wrote it. Well, it was actually a cover. It was a cover of my friend Chase's song. And I put it out on Spotify. It's called Till the Fall Ends. And I was really proud of it at the time. Didn't get a whole lot of reception, but you know, it was a learning experience. It was the first thing I ever produced, first song I ever finished myself. So, oh, and totally forgot this part of the timeline, but I also joined a band my senior year of high school called the Non-Professionals. And I became the kind of touring guitar player for quite a while. We were just doing like grad party gigs and stuff like that. And I was just the lead guitar player. And then slowly I became more of a part of the writing process. And so recently I got to play guitar, write the guitar parts on a song that the band put out called Margot and Cece, and that came out last summer. So that was a fun little accomplishment. So that's the Non-Professionals, and they're on Spotify and all that. But yeah, and I've just been ever since, I guess, just hunkering down, making as many songs as I can that I'm proud of. Which is a surprisingly low number proportionally.
Yeah.
But, yeah.
I'm ready to listen to one of these proportionally low numbered songs.
Yeah. So Yeah, if we want to do a song now,
Yeah.
can pull it up. So the first song that I really felt like I had something with is a song that I spent basically my entire first semester of my sophomore year only working on this song. And I sat on it for a really long time because I just didn't feel like it was all the way there. And then I just decided last summer that it was done. I was like, you know what? It's all the way there.
It's not getting any better.
Yeah, I didn't know what else to do to it. And I don't know, I just stopped listening to it with such a discriminating ear, and I started to enjoy it more. It's a song called After. It's a kind of caps off my sort of psychedelic music era. All right, here you go.
Thanks.
years. I was obsessed with that for a really long time because I was like really into listening to like Glass Animals, Tame Impala, Todd Rundgren, like psychedelic music that has like an insane amount of detail in the mix. So I was just like obsessed with that. Like one of the sounds in the beginning is like tuned wine glasses. And it took me like 4 hours to do that. It's like this imperceptible sound. Like you could almost not even hear it.
Yeah.
But I just like really wanted to make it that detailed. I've since become less like crazy about that. I at this point, I probably do an entire song within the span of time it took me to do like that intro, which is probably better for me in the long run. But yeah, I don't know.
All right. So you collaborate with a lot of people, yeah?
Yeah. That's always really, I think for quite a while, I mean, up until I really had my whole quarantine, COVID-induced songwriting thing, I think I honestly planned for myself to mainly be a collaborator. Like my idea of what my career was going to be was basically going to be to play guitar, co-produce, co-write on other people's music. And then like I do like what Pharrell Williams did, where he like basically built an entire career and like existed as a musical celebrity for like 10 years before he even came out with his own album. Like that was my idea of what I wanted to do with myself. And then I just began to realize that I found it also incredibly gratifying to put out my own stuff and write about my own life. But yeah, I started out working a lot with Chase, my friend Chase, who is doing very well for himself right now. Since Suburban Apocalypse, he's come out with a couple projects, some of which I have been involved in, some of which I have not. But after Suburban Apocalypse, there was Hunter Schafer's Boyfriend, which was an album styled of like hyper pop, sort of very interesting sort of stuff, which was noticed by none other than Hunter Schafer herself, who added it to her playlist and is one of Chase's fans. And since then, he's put out a couple singles under the name Chase Plato. The latest of which, Set You Free, I was fortunate enough to play guitar on, which has been a very lucky thing for me to get to have that opportunity and to get to work with someone as talented as he is. I've also done plenty of work with, the non-professionals. I don't know if that slots into collaborative work since I'm part of the band, but I consider it collaborative, in nature. And that's very exciting to get to work with them, be part of a live band and just get to focus all my efforts on lead guitar work. And then I'm sure the one that you're waiting for is, of course, Jonah, who is my greatest collaborator currently. And that's a whole thing in and of itself. Freshman year, me and Jonah moved in together into the dorms as complete strangers. And within probably 2 to 3 weeks, we're collaborating on music already. I feel like the first week that we knew each other, that we lived in the dorms, every night we stayed up until 4 a.m., literally from like 7 p.m. to like 4 a.m. We'd just we'd sit at his computer and just show each other music constantly, like nonstop. And it drove his roommate Zachariah insane, I'm sure, but we've since made up over it. But yeah, I mean, and it was just great to get to work with Jonah on stuff when he was putting out music under Cryolite. I got to add little tidbits to his song Lifted, which is a great piece of EDM. And then there was a beat challenge that he did with his production friends, the Goons, where they had to flip a sample, and for whatever reason, I ended up playing guitar on it. And that was called A Day in the Park. And I got to have this whole guitar solo on the outro of it, and it ended up becoming a very successful thing for Jonah on SoundCloud. It has like 5,000 or 6,000 listens, did very well. And I also started working with my roommate at the time, Cameron Grant. We talked a lot about songwriting, and we've always bonded over similar tastes in songwriting, but he started writing songs. Cameron started writing songs. And I got to play guitar on them. And the first one that came out was called Just a Thought. And then the second one that came out was called Find My Way. Both put out under Cameron Grant. They're both on Spotify, and I got to be featured pretty prominently on guitar, doing lots of leads and solos, especially on Just a Thought. And that was nice. You know, I'm very fortunate to work with people who give me space to just do whatever I do on guitar. And that's always a nice thing. And just give general songwriting input on stuff. But me and Jonah's collaborations really stepped up probably 6 months later, halfway through our sophomore year. Jonah started getting interested in making like R&B type stuff and singing, because Jonah's a phenomenal singer who up until that point had not really ever sung on anything that he made, save for maybe one song. And so he started making all this really funky, really catchy, you know, danceable music. And we were required to, I won't say the name of it, I'll save the surprise of it for Jonah's releases, but we got to work on, well, we worked on a song that featured me playing live drums on it, which was nice. It was my first ever, I think, live, you know, getting to play drums on someone's record. So that was nice. And then we were required, he was required for our class to do a collaborative song with someone. So in the course of about a week, we did an entire song together collaboratively. So it was kind of, I think it was probably 75% Jonah, 25% me. I threw guitar all over it, and I think wrote a couple lines of melody in the lyric. And I got to write a whole bridge and sing on that. And I won't spoil the name of that song, but it is most definitely coming out in the near future. And I'm very excited for it. And that kicked off a whole thing where me and Jonah started working very prolifically together, constantly writing music in this new sort of pop funk sound that was sort of new to both of our styles. It was a departure from his EDM influences, and certainly a departure from my psychedelic rock thing that I was doing very much on after and Till the Fall Ends. And since then, we've both been making lots of music together in a very new style to both of us. And the first real flavor of that style is a song called Eyes on Me, which just came out on Tuesday, the January 31st. And if you listen to it, it's a complete stylistic 180 from anything that either of us have done before. And I think we both are pretty positive that it's the best thing that either of us have done to the, at least up to the time that we had, you know, written it and done it. And I play guitar on that. Sorry, I don't mean to insinuate that I had a significant portion of writing input when I say we, but I have like a paternal sense of pride over that song. Like it's, we did it together. We cooked it up. So yeah, that's been great. And there's lots and lots of music on the way that is a result of me and Jonah's constant collaboration.
Nice.
Yeah.
Right. I'm ready for song number 2.
All right.
It's giving me... I'm feeling a lot of always a bridesmaid, never a bride from you.
Sometimes there's a certain philosophy behind it that I won't get too deep into, but I certainly think it's when I'm doing something like After, where I'm literally every part on it is myself. There's a level of like perfectionist exhaustion that can occur when you have to worry about every single aspect and play every single instrument, where just getting to take one little slice of the pie and perfect it as much as you can be very, very much more enjoyable and less exhausting for someone who I guess is aggressively perfectionist like myself, to just get to focus on one little thing. But anyways, don't mean to ramble.
No, you're fine.
So the next song that I got is very reflective of the new style that me and Jonah are picking up. I think it's going to come out very soon. It's in slightly unfinished territory, but it just a couple mix changes, and it'll be out probably within the next month. And you folks at WIDR Radio and the audience will get to hear, I guess, the sort of debut of this song. And it's a song that I wrote over the summer and into the fall that I've been very fortunate to have produced by none other than Jonah Yardley, Cryolite, Jonah Y.
The Jonah, that guy.
The one and only mini monikered mixer.
Your favorite Jonah ever.
Yeah, so this is a song that I wrote called Not Playing Games. Not playing games, caught you running around, but nothing's the same. Thought that I could trust you back again. You keep coming back again, crying me that you'll never leave. You kick me while I'm down, so I got to tell you now. Not playing games, caught you running around, but nothing's the same. Thought that I could trust you. We play pretend. You tell me he's just a friend. I'm starting to see that you're lying to me, 'cause you smell like eau du jour. That's not the scent I wore. Not playing games, caught you running around, but nothing's the same. Thought that I could trust you, but you're not the same as the girl I knew. You told me that you'd always be true, but I swear that I still see You're the girl of my dreams. I know the road is long, but I believe we can be strong somehow, some way. I'm not playing games, caught you running round, but nothing's the same. I thought that I could trust you. I'm not playing games, caught you running round, but nothing's the same. Thought that I could trust you.
That was good.
Thank you.
It needs kazoo.
Really? You think so? What do you think the kazoo would be doing?
Something like the falsetto harmonies you're doing, but it just gives it something like a little more. The lyrics are very playful.
Yeah.
And I feel like a kazoo would just be cool.
Yeah. That's the whole thing is I guess I just started writing less sad. I don't know why. Maybe I just got to a better headspace. Started listening to happier music. I don't know.
I don't know. I like this one. It's
Yeah.
good.
Yeah. I mean, complete, like I said, 180 from what something like After is doing. But
Happens when you get happy.
yeah, you know, you start acting normal, sleeping right and eating, and you know,
Then you write music for kazoo.
yeah, then you start writing pop songs. You sell out.
You sell out. Be careful, kids.
Yeah.
You start, sleeping right, you might become a sellout.
Yeah, you don't want that. Well, I mean, I think a considerable difference is that the majority of After was written, recorded, and produced around 3 to 4 a.m. and then Not Playing Games was, majority 3 to 4 p.m. So the sunlight really affects the final outcome, I think.
Yeah. This one feels a lot more sunny.
Yeah.
Hence the kazoo it desperately needs.
I'll do some kazoo experimentation.
Okay, cool.
I'll see what I can kazoo do. That was bad.
Kazoo.
We'll have to edit
See
that
what
out of
I
the final.
can kazoo would have been better.
Yeah, that would have been. You know what? It would have been better if I just didn't say anything at all. No.
All right. Is there anything else you want to talk about?
If you have any more questions, I'd be happy to answer.
Oh, I have lots of questions.
Go ahead.
Okay. Firstly, let's talk equipment.
Sure.
So you live in a music hype house, which means you get to have cool stuff.
In theory, I mainly record. Well, okay. So, speaking of equipment,
Just because it's not yours doesn't mean it's not yours.
that's fair. So it's changed a little bit as time's gone on. I think Till the Fall Ends was recorded on like a $60 Shure. I don't remember what it is. It was a vocal mic dynamic sort of thing. Not super high quality. And I would like to record the acoustic guitar. Like I literally set the microphone down on my desk facing the hole of the guitar. Very
Nice.
DIY.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I had to do a lot of production to that song to get it to sound like acceptable. But yeah. And my recording setup is like literally just like a microphone going into a Scarlett audio box going into my laptop, and that's like it. I think the only thing that I actually have like hardware for is guitars. I think when I did Till the Fall Ends, everything was like just literally direct into the audio box, and then like all effects were done with like default plugins in FL. That's a big thing, is I'm a default plugin kind of guy. Like After was made 100% with FL stock plugins.
Do you like your coffee like plain?
Yeah, I drink straight black coffee.
Yeah, you look like the type.
Yeah.
Let me guess. You go to bed at like 10 p.m.?
No, I am an insomniac. It's part of the territory with being like a songwriter, composer. You can't have a good sleep schedule.
Otherwise, you make happy stuff.
Yeah, which is like...
Heaven forbid that.
Yeah, I definitely made not playing games when I was on my, like, go to bed at 12, wake up at 8 a.m., 3 meals a day lifestyle. But...
Good lifestyle. You should stick to it.
Yeah, so I think that's the technology that has affected my, my music the most is my body. And if I'm taking care of it. But yeah, I think something that is significant that seems to come up a lot is around the time after I finished Till the Fall Ends, I had enough money to upgrade my microphone. So what I did was I went online and bought myself a Rode NT2A microphone. After doing quite a bit of research. And that is basically what I record everything on now. I record everything that's not DI'd in. I record it on that microphone. And the reason why I say it comes up quite a lot is because I record all of my acoustic guitar parts into that microphone. And I get very frequently asked, how my acoustic guitar sounds, how it does. And I would attest to that microphone being it. I do very little processing at all on any of my acoustic guitar parts. And a lot of the music I'm working on right now that's going to come out in the future very prominently features my acoustic guitar. And I always get asked how I get it to sound how it does. And it's next to nothing. I think it's just mainly that mic. Picks up a lot of that guitar, makes it sound very full. So yeah, I guess the only other significant piece of hardware for the techies out there is I think the first instance of me using really anything outside of a DAW for effects in my released music was the guitar solo on After. And it's a very unique sounding guitar. And the main components of it is a Wampler pedal, which is basically a pedal made to emulate the tone of Brian May, which is like my new obsession. Everything I do, everything I record now sounds like Brian May. Which is crazy because I rarely ever listen to Queen right now. I just
You're a Prince guy.
Yeah, I'm a Prince fanatic.
Would you want to collab with him if he was still alive?
With Prince?
Yeah.
I don't know if I would want to get in the way of whatever genius he's working on.
Yeah, but what if he asked you to like play guitar?
I'd ask him to kindly play the guitar instead because the best that I could do is just probably a ripoff of what he already does.
Nice.
But I would probably be honored to have been asked. So yeah, it was a Wampler pedal running into a wah, which is I don't know if there's a recorded guitar solo I've done that exists in the world that does not have wah pedal on it. Except probably Margot and Cece. I think that's the only one I did without a wah pedal on it. Wah is very prominently part of my sound. Till the Fall Ends doesn't have wah on it either. At least on the guitar solo it does on one of the rhythm guitars. But
for our listeners out there, could you please make the sound a guitar makes when it's plugged into a wah-wah pedal?
That's Kiss by Prince. The best use of a wah pedal. That guitar solo is incredible.
All right. I'll have to take your word for it. I haven't heard it yet, so.
Yeah. Did you have any other
Not really. I
burning
think
questions?
we're good.
That was it? You just wanted to know all about the tech?
Well, it's not exactly that. We're running out of time, Julian.
Oh, I understand. I understand.
It was great talking to you today.
Yeah, I don't want to keep you over, but it's very nice to get to talk.
For sure, yeah.
This is probably my first official
interview
press that I've done. Well,
I love being people's
on
first
my
press.
On my own. I've done a recent interview with the non-professionals, but that was as a guitar player.
Yeah, but now you're Julian the songwriter.
Mm-hmm.
It's your bride moment.
Yeah. It's a new era for me to get to primarily inhabit the shoes of Julian the songwriter.
That's great.
And put out music under my own name. But I'm very excited for it. I think it's some of the stuff that I'm the most proud of. I think it's the songs that I'm working on right now. I'm incredibly excited for people to get to hear. Mm-hmm. Although I don't think that's anything unique for a songwriter to say. I think every songwriter says that their latest is their greatest. But
I'm waiting for that guy to say, yeah, this album I'm putting out, it's not as great as my last one, but
yeah, I don't know. Hopefully I don't ever have to say that, but
yeah, that sounds like a bad way to go.
Yeah.
At that point, it's time to stop.
Probably.
Just like us. Yep. We're stopping now.
All right.
Goodbye, WIDR.
Goodbye.